Well, you've done it, rugby fans. You know, a few years ago, you were all going on and on about how the Polynesian nations, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, were at a massive disadvantage because they were massively underfunded, didn't get enough game time together, didn't get enough practice time together, training time together, just weren't being given enough support. And you said, we need to help these nations maximize their potential because it's not a level playing field. And now look what's happened, okay? Fiji just came arse-tinglingly close to knocking England out, a crime, knocking England out of a World Cup in the quarterfinals and getting, for the first time ever, to a semi-final. And you know what? It's your fault. You people have been rooting for Fiji, all the things I just said, whereas I, sensibly, have said, no, don't support Fiji, don't support Samoa and Tonga, keep them down, hinder them, stop them developing, because if you help them, they're going to be too good. And that is what it looks like is going to be happening soon. I'm joking, of course, you idiot, but I'm not joking about the danger of Polynesian rugby at its full capacity, unhindered, uninhibited. Look how far Fiji have come. It's actually amazing. If you'd have told me a couple of years ago that Fiji would beat England and then 2 months later come unbelievably close to knocking England out in the quarterfinals of a World Cup, I'd have said, you're out of your mind. But that's where we are. And Fiji should look at this World Cup as an unequivocal, massive success because they're only just beginning to build, I feel like. And look how good they are. If things keep going this way, if they keep going on this upward trajectory, they're going to be legitimate threats at the next World Cup. Not to just do well, but conceivably win a World Cup. I know it sounds crazy now, but like I said, what is happening now sounded crazy a few years ago. What a stressful match that was. Do you know what? World Cups are stressful, aren't they? I can only imagine how horrible that was. I always feel like you need to ban World Cups. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, probably, isn't it always? Rugby World Cups, or any World Cups of any sport, are horrible for mental health. It's just too much. I feel like you should... I can only imagine how awful Irish fans must feel. And that's something I'm going to talk about more on my podcast, Rugby Rant Banter, but to have the best island team of all time, be ranked number one in the world, get to a quarter-final somewhere you've never gone beyond before, and lose like that so narrowly against New Zealand, it was horrendous. If England had lost this quarter-final against Fiji, by the way, I would have had, intentionally, I'd have had some kind of seizure and slipped deliberately into a coma from which I would never return because it's too much. I'm getting stressed out just thinking about it. Anyway, this is a England versus Fiji full-time reaction video. Now, I made extensive notes, so many notes, that I ran out of paper, and I started writing on my leg, and I'll show you. Look, I don't know if you can see this properly. I got, says Fiji not, well, I won't give anything away, but I started making these notes, and then, all right, chill out. I made some notes on my leg, and I started designing a new tattoo, and you all got all childish about it. That's not good. Let's move on. Let's just talk about the England versus Fiji match. Much better performance today, obviously. Still a really close match. Final score, way too close for comfort, as I implied earlier, and probably closer than it should have been. But the performance is all around much, much better, especially in the pack. I thought Ellis Genge played better than he's played in a long time. I thought Maro Itoje had a much better performance than he's had in a while. Ollie Chesham maintaining his good form at this World Cup. Probably been our best, well, I was going to say he's probably been our best forward sort of consistently at this World Cup, but how could I say that with Ben Earl performing the way he has? Ben Earl, by the way, I'm surprised at how many people are surprised at how well he's played in this World Cup, because I feel like he's always been this good. He's always had the ability. He just hasn't been given the chance. He hasn't been capped enough. He hasn't been wasn't backed by Eddie Jones, and Steve Borthwick sort of reluctantly picked him. And now he's showing everyone what he can do. That one break, I almost achieved something during that. Courtney Laws played way better than I expected he would today. I love Courtney Laws, but I felt like he'd been underperforming a little bit, but he was great. Apparently, I'm just doing a player-by-player ranking. That wasn't my intention, but that's what I'm doing, so I'll keep going. Tom Curry, I thought, played really well. Some people in the Rugby Brethren, which is my small circle jerk of rugby fans, implying that he wasn't playing that well, but I think it was more that his performance had so much intensity behind it. He was making a few mistakes. He was, committing a few. I thought Alex Mitchell played well. Nothing super spectacular, not a world-class performance, but he was moving the ball quickly. His passing was quick and accurate for the most part. His kicking was good for the most part. Hinted at a few little breaks every now and again. Did his job. Similarly, Owen Farrell did his job. Had a good game. Nice drop goal. Defended well, as he always does. We do have to talk about the deliberate knock-on, because I've said on my podcast before, I don't think deliberate knock-ons should even be penalty offences. And if you want to know why, search through my podcast, because I've justified it at some point. But the fact is, it was a deliberate knock-on that could have cost us the game. And can you imagine the amount of stick he'd have gotten if it had? Oh my God, he'd be murdered. It would be awful. Let's not think about it. It didn't happen, thank God. Centres, I think that centre partnership did work. Manu and Marchant both scoring tries, both defending well, except for that one error where Manu let the Fijian number 8, I forget his name, just dummy the shit out of him and walk under the posts. But I think it was pretty successful. Now, the back three, both wingers I thought played well. Daly and May, again, this England team is not built for wingers, all right? So they're never going to be blowing your minds, but the crappy ball that they tended to get, although they got a little bit better than they used to, I thought they did really well with. And at fullback, Marcus Smith didn't really get much of an opportunity, to be honest with you. Had a few attempts, broke a couple of tackles, definitely received a couple of tackles. I will say this about Marcus Smith. He's not the biggest man in world rugby. He was picked to do a job against Fiji. I actually don't quite think I agree with the tactic now, because his one weakness, really, other than inexperience at fullback, is that he's not the most physically imposing specimen. And so I'm not sure why you would want to put him up against a team of the most physically imposing players on the planet. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's already happening in my rugby circles. The Rugby Brethren are very quick to criticize Marcus Smith for basically any mistake he makes anytime he gets tackled. I would say that it's unfair. I don't think he really did. I don't think any of his weaknesses were really exploited that much. And I said in a WhatsApp group I'm in earlier today, there was a moment where Courtney Laws was triple tackled and dragged into touch. And I just thought, if that had been, that's Courtney Laws, a massive, strong, legendary forward. If that had been Marcus Smith, everyone would have been freaking out saying, oh, Marcus Smith, he's too small, he's too weak, he got manhandled. Similarly, that missed tackle by Manu that allowed a Fijian to score, if that had been Marcus Smith there and he'd done exactly the same thing, all these people would be freaking out saying, oh, he was in the wrong place, he can't defend, he's out of position, he's not a real fullback, all of this stuff. And I think it's a bit much. As it is, I thought he did fine. Not great. Probably didn't do any better than Freddie Stewart would have done. But you know what? I wouldn't change anything because we won the bloody game, and that's the most important thing. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything about the England team. It was a good performance. I thought our subs really didn't help much. Don't think Carl Sinclair did very well when he came on, although I didn't expect him to. I can't remember much else. Billy came on. I saw him get tackled. That's kind of what he does. One criticism I'll say, and before I say this, I'll preface it with Fiji, what a success story, what a legitimately great team, and what a great game it was because of what they offered. I do think, now it's hard to know if I'm right on this, partly because they won't show any bloody replays during the coverage, and partly because I am biased, I admit it, but it felt to me very much like pretty much every single breakdown, Fijian players were competing for the ball, and it was usually the tackler, and it looked like they never released. It seemed to consistently happen, where a Fijian would tackle a player and just immediately latch onto the ball, and not only was it unpunished, they would win penalties for it. It felt like that was happening a lot. I don't want to go full Razzie on you. I'm not going to go through the match and make a compilation video of all those times, partly because I could be wrong and that would be embarrassing. Let's just assume I'm right. But that's pretty much it. Onward and upward. We'll keep doing this World Cup. As I said, it's extremely stressful. It's extremely bad for mental health. I do think maybe we should ban the World Cup, but let's keep going. Let's do the semi-finals, and if England win, we'll keep going and we'll do the final. If England lose, that's enough, I think, and we should ban World Cups. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe to this, and thank you very much for watching. Right into the dump.